Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video on my channel, Hairliciously. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipeline. In today's video, I wanted to give you an update on my use of Pyrilutamide, also known by its developmental code name KX826. A lot of you guys have been requesting an update on Pyrilutamide, as I've been taking this for over a year now, ever since Kintor released their clinical trial results. So I'm just going to do a quick recap on what Pyrilutamide is for those who are new. And it's basically a topical androgen receptor antagonist, and it binds the androgen receptor by competing with DHT to locally block androgen-mediated signaling to limit hair follicle miniaturization and also to promote new hair growth. Studies show that it's rapidly metabolized into inactive metabolites, and it has little influence on the whole body AR signaling pathway. And it also has a good safety profile. Phase 2 clinical trial testing conducted in the US showed that 0.5% concentration of Pyrilutamide applied twice a day increased hair counts by about 10 hairs per centimeter squared from baseline after 24 weeks of treatment, while another phase 2 clinical trial conducted in China with the same concentration applied twice a day showed an increase of nearly 23 hairs per centimeter squared from baseline after 24 weeks of consecutive treatment. So phase 2 clinical trial results were extremely successful, because subjects were able to regrow hair that was statistically significant, and because you want to target, hair loss through various mechanisms of action through a synergistic effect for maximum hair growth potential. I personally started using Pyrilutamide into my hair loss treatment stack, on top of a 5-AR inhibitor, Minoxidil, and microneedling. And I will say that over the year of using Pyrilutamide, it's definitely helped further stabilize, hair loss for miniaturization. And kind of like the one thing that I noticed the most was that Pyrilutamide has really helped reduce shedding, whether that was from, induced from the hair cycle itself or from medication. I've also noticed reduced itching of the scalp, which you guys know kind of goes hand in hand with reduced shedding. And, this is pretty big for me. I would get kind of like these random periods of just kind of like mid-scalp or like hairline itchiness followed by shedding. And that has nearly been eliminated after starting Pyrilutamide. There are several topic discussions on Trestless and other hair loss forums on how they think that there's this undeniable link between DHT itching or inflammation and hair loss. And, there are people who talk about hair loss followed by scalp itching. But I haven't really dived into the topic or researched it deeply. But for me personally, those two reasons were kind of like the main things that I was benefiting from after starting using Pyrilutamide. And I think for me, I haven't really been a hyper responder to various treatments, including finasteride or minoxidil, microneedling. But, I haven't really been able to regrow a significant amount of hair either. But rather, these treatments that I've been consistently taking over the past few years have enabled me to stabilize hair loss from further progression. And, that alone to me is more than enough to continue to take it. And that is also, the good thing is that I don't have any adverse side effects, which I'm definitely thankful for. Now, a lot of you guys were disappointed after Kintor had released phase 3 clinical trial results a few months back because the study showed that Pyrilutamide had positive hair growth compared to baseline at all visit points after 24 weeks. But when compared with the placebo group, the total area hair count improvement in the Pyrilutamide treated group had no statistical significance. Now, the good news about this is that phase 3 results stated that there was still a statistically significance for the total area hair count of the treatment group compared to baseline. So at the very least, this means that, they were at the minimum able to maintain the hairs and even regrow some during the treatment period. And also with a trend in efficacy that was observed, Kintor has likely initiated their 52-week long safety and efficacy phase 3 clinical trial, in hopes that a longer trial is going to show a clear divergence in results versus placebo. This is also going to allow Kintor to conduct multiple trials to analyze the results and kind of sort through the statistics as well as looking into possible confoundings during data analysis. So overall, I am still pretty a strong believer in the efficacy of Pyrilutamide. And at the very minimum, this is going to serve as an adjunct treatment to help stabilize and slow down further progression of hair loss. And this is done through a different mechanism of action on top of, conventional hair loss treatments. Now, the other thing to mention is that Pyrilutamide has a pretty high binding affinity to the AR as an anti-androgen. It also outcompetes any known anti-androgens out there currently. If we, for example, compare Pyrilutamide to RU-5841, Pyrilutamide is about 4 times stronger than that of RU in terms of binding affinity for the AR. So this alone, makes it a much better treatment option to use than RU or something like clascoterone, CB0301, or Fluridil. Now, Kintor is also undertaking clinical trials for Pyrilutamide in combination with Minoxidil, and it's aimed to evaluate the efficacy and safety of Pyrilutamide. So, in other words, if clinical trial results show that Pyrilutamide and Minoxidil used synergistically show an improvement over just monotherapy of Minoxidil, this alone proves that Pyrilutamide may be an effective treatment to use in conjunction with a growth stimulant like Minoxidil or another medication that works in a different mechanism of action. All in all, there is still a lot of important data and research that is ongoing with Pyrilutamide, and even with phase 3 clinical trial results and Pyrilutamide's high binding affinity to the AR, I'm still a huge advocate of it. And as I've mentioned, the 2 biggest things that I was able to notice while using Pyrilutamide for over a year was reduce shedding and also reduce inflammation and itchiness of the scalp. So I'll definitely keep you guys in the loops once we get an update from Kintor Pharmaceuticals. Let me know in the comments on what you think of Pyrilutamide and what your experience was for those who have been using it. Now, Kintor also has another product in their line. This is their androgen receptor degrader, which degrades the AR protein. It's called GT20029. And this is also in phase 2 clinical trials. So I also look forward to that. And, just as a company in general, for Kintor, they've been fairly responsive with their clinical trials and updates, as well as meeting their research endpoints. So, I'm very optimistic about this company. But yeah, that basically wrapped up this video on my experience using Pyrilutamide. Hopefully it's been helpful for those who've been wanting to know how it's been, working out for me for the past year. Thank you for all of your support. Make sure to smash the like button, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Take care, guys.